Welcome to part 3 of the Bowling for Soup Discography Tour. Today we're going to quickly touch base on the split album Cellmates and then spend the majority of the time talking about their record Rock On Honorable Ones. If you love Bowling for Soup and enjoy music history and end up liking this review, please remember to like and subscribe and throw a comment down below. And with that, let's rock on Honorable Ones. Following the release of Bowling for Soup's debut album, they toured. Back in the day, if you wanted to make it as a band, you jumped in whatever transportation you could get a hold of and you hit the road. In February of 1996, the band released a split album with the rock group The Vims, where Bowling for Soup recorded 5 songs, 4 of which ended up being re-recorded for the album Rock On Honorable Ones, which we'll refer to as ROHO going forward. During that same year in 96, Bowling for Soup moved from Wichita Falls, which was their home, to Denton, Texas, which at the time, according to what I could find, the music scene there was diverse and was very welcoming of new sounds. So it was a move that just made sense. And if you lived in Texas and wanted to make it, that's where you would want to go. So Denton was it. 96 was an important year for Bowling for Soup because not only did they release the album with the Vims and move to Denton, it was the year that they decided to go all out and shoot for the stars. And according to Jarrett, after obtaining a couple college degrees and running multiple businesses that didn't work out long term, they were playing a show in Abilene, Texas, where the reaction from the crowd was encouraging to the point that Jarrett took the band aside afterwards and had a band meeting. And in this meeting, he basically said, "We can do this, guys, but if we're going to make it, we need to decide to lay everything out on the table and to put everything into the band. No birthdays, no weddings, no family functions, just the band." Jarrett had decided that he was going to dedicate his time to the band and would oversee all the details and asked the band to trust him to oversee everything and to make sure everything went well. So this is what the band did because they also felt that they could make it in music and they dedicated their life to the band at that point.
I pledge allegiance to the band.
They kept trucking along, and in January of 1998, they released their next album, Rock On Honorable Ones, which is the record that we're going to spend the majority of our time talking about. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about Cellmates first. Cellmates was recorded with the Vims, and Bowling for Soup put 5 songs on the record, 4 of which we'll talk about down in the Rock On Honorable Ones section, because they were re-recorded for that record as well. Now, the main song that had a big difference was Kool-Aid, and for the full review, keep listening because we'll talk about this down below. This version of Kool-Aid has an alternate intro, or rather a lack of an intro, because they added an intro later on when they recorded it for Rock On Honorable Ones. The main difference between the songs on Cellmates and ROHO is the speed. They were much faster and felt a little bit more clean on Cellmates, where you get more of kind of a grungy, crunchy sound from the guitars on Rock On Honorable Ones, which has a much more punk sound to it. The only song on Cellmates that's not on ROHO is their cover of the song Suspicious Minds by Elvis Presley. This is a fun cover. Bowling for Soup would go on to do more epic covers later in their career, but as for this one, they took it, they punked it out, and they made it their own, and it was a lot of fun. Now, let's get into where we're going to spend the majority of our time, Rock On Honorable Ones, starting off with the song 2113, or 2113. I'm not sure which way it's supposed to be said, to be honest. I like saying 2113. This song utilizes horns. When the band first starts up, you would think this is actually a ska record, but it's not. Bowling for Soup doesn't do this on other albums, but it fits very nicely with this song. And using horns honestly makes sense because this was a period of time that third wave ska was really starting to pick up. You had bands like Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones album Let's Face It was released, and many other examples of bands that were making a splash at the time. So horns just made sense. As for the song, what the song is about, he was supposed to meet a girl that stood him up, and he met a different girl instead by pure happenstance. The problem is, she has another guy, so he offers up to be her side dude, so to speak, to be there whenever she needs him on the side. Then we get into the song Scope. We lose the horns in the song, and it has a more straightforward punk sound, leaning heavily into the guitars with occasional bass popping through. You can hear it a little bit here and there, but it's not super strong. And to me, this song seems to be about his indecisions. There's a girl he wants to be close to 1 minute, and then the next minute he doesn't, and he cannot figure out why. But by the end of the song, he's decided he wants to be close to her, but he still doesn't know why. That would be a very hard place to be, I think. Valentino. This is about a girlfriend that makes him feel like crap. No matter what nice things he does for her, she complains or she insults him. So he decides he wants a different girlfriend. I like the opening to this song. You get some fast, short downstrokes on the guitar and then a slide to bring in the drums and the bass, and it just rocks to the end of the song. Lance brings us in on a catchy drum beat, opening up an instrumental for the first half minute of the song. In the song, he's trying to figure out how he lost his girl. He doesn't know what he did wrong. He spends his time in the song trying to figure it out, but he never quite does. Then the song Cody. This song is about a girl who is really stuck up. She feels like she's always the victim of every situation, and he feels sorry for her and asks her on a date anyway. About 3/4 of the way through the song, we get a fun little breakdown, starting with the bass solo and some snapping. Until the guitar comes in and we get a fun groove going for a complete minute of instrumental, which is not normal for Bowling for Soup, but it's a lot of fun. It creates another moment that we find a few times early on in their music where we get a musical style from them that is not typical for them, but they pull it off extremely well. Belgium. This is one of their most famous songs. This song expresses extremely well the feeling of sleeping next to someone that you love and then the empty feeling that you get when they're not there, explaining that the bed feels like it's grown bigger because of that empty space. In the song, the girl is halfway across the world, and even though he can't hold her, he'll wait, and he'll continue to wait. The sound of the song is a bit slower, and it throws some horns into the background, which fit nicely. It's an excellent anthem for missing the partner that you love. Then we slam into some heavy hitting guitar, opening up the song Milo, which is about a girl who just wants to get with the band, and at most they offer her to hold her hand. Then we have the song Captain Hook, which is a song about how his girl makes him feel. He wants to tell her how he feels, but he loses the words when she's around because he doesn't know how to tell her. But he hopes that she knows by the way he's acting because of how crazy he is around her. The instrumental on the song is about 2/3 of the way into the song, and it's easy to dance to and a lot of fun. Then we get into Ack. This is a song about a girl who is happy when she gets her way and is leaving him hanging as to where they stand. These early songs bring in so much fun stuff. Here we have another guitar solo that is different from their usual sound, but fits nicely and is helpful when wanting to see the evolution of the band's sound, from where they came from and to where they are today. And this is a really good song to be able to see that. Jumping into Thespian, I've decided that at this point, if Bowling for Soup had decided to continue having horn parts later on their albums, it would have gone very well. Every time that they've used them on this record, it has fit extremely well, and I think they could have continued that way. This upbeat song is about meeting a girl and thinking it's not going well and that you're not doing good in the conversations, but she's not leaving until it's time to go home, so obviously he's saying something right. Now, Kool-Aid. This was a song that was on Cellmates, and then here you get the intro added in. It has a similar feel to Scope and Belgium, and a lot of the songs on this record deal with wanting to say something and being unsure of how or if he should. But by the end of this song, he makes a final decision that he's going to say something to the girl, and everything turns out just fine. Then we have the song I Don't Know. Bowling for Soup, honestly, like I said before, could have been a ska band if they wanted. The music that they wrote for this album fits so well with the horns, and the opening for I Don't Know feels like something off of a Less Than Jake album, and it's done really well. It's a little piece that I wish they'd have done a little bit more later on, but as they got into their more traditional sound, it makes sense that they dropped the horns, but they could have pulled it off if they continued. Whisk is about a girl who thinks that everyone is against her. She keeps doing things that agitates people, but in the end, she's loved anyway despite her wild antics. Then we have Ass Man, where Jarrett just wants to know what the hell is going on in his relationship. He just wants her to be his sidekick and for her to complete him, but she keeps getting mad at him over things that he doesn't realize he's even doing wrong in this song. Then we have the final song, Friday. Have you ever had one of those days where it feels like a completely different day? Like it's Monday, but you feel like it's Friday or something like that? Well, this song is about just that, realizing that you put too much time into your relationship that didn't work out, and now with everything going on, you just feel lost in time and don't even know what day it is. Overall, Rock on Honorable Ones is a transitional album where you get more of their old school sound with an experimentation with the horns in their music, but this is where we start to hear the classic Bowling for Soup sound coming through that people are so familiar with that really starts to come out in the next record, Let's Do It for Johnny. Rock on Honorable Ones was really long. It ran at 58 minutes, but it's very fast paced and with crunchy guitars and a lot of fun instrumentals. Definitely worth your time. Also worth your time will be next week's video where we jump into the first record that has Gary Wiseman on the drums, Let's Do It for Johnny. If you like this review, or if you like Bowling for Soup, or you just enjoy music history, please remember to like and subscribe. Throw a comment down below. It really helps the channel, and we'd love to see you join the community and see you here each week. Also, don't forget to join us here every Friday at 4:30 p.m. Toronto time for a live stream. It usually gets pretty wild, so we'll see you there. And with that, rock on, honorable ones.